Though the 2024 primary election is still 9 months away, candidates are in full campaign mode for a race that looks like it's going to replace the city's longtime mayor. Thank you for choosing Fox 40 News at 6:30. I'm Eric Harriman.
And I'm Nikki Lorenzo. Current Mayor Darrell Steinberg, who has served the city since December of 2016, announced he would not seek re-election for a third term. So since his announcement, several candidates have announced their intent to replace him. Those candidates on your screen right now, they include Prosecutor Maggie Crowell, Assemblymember Kevin McCarty, former City Council member Steve Hansen, Dr. Richard Pan, a former lawmaker, state lawmaker, and Dr. Flojan Kofer. She's an epidemiologist who is the Senior Director of Policy for Public Health Advocates. She was most recently involved in city politics by leading the Citizens Advisory Committee. Joining us now, Dr. Flo, as you're known by many in the city
Yes.
and by your staff. We had this conversation in the commercial break because I'm like, I call you Dr. Flo. You're like, that's what all of my staff calls me. So it is okay. Appreciate you giving us some time. Also want to point out that you were the first candidate to jump in this race.
I was.
Let's talk about what is your vision? Why do you want to be the mayor of Sacramento?
Well, thank you for having me, first of all, Nikki. I am just so excited to be running for mayor because, like many people in this city, I love Sacramento. And I have, rolled up my sleeves and gotten involved in many of the decisions that we've been trying to make here and really trying to paint a bright future for Sacramento. And what I've seen is that there's still opportunity. More is possible for us in terms of addressing some of the challenges that our city has. And so I want to be part of rolling up my sleeves and getting involved and leading the city into its bright future.
All right, so you mentioned some of the challenges. What do you see as the biggest challenge?
Obviously, we want to feel safe, and we also want to address the fact that too many of our neighbors are sleeping on our streets and are experiencing homelessness. And so I think those are some of the top issues in our city.
So how would a mayor, Dr. Flo, change that? Because folks that go downtown, I was just by City Hall the other day, it is surrounded by tents. We have an unhoused population, and I believe the latest number from Sacramento County, and this is a city-county issue, that has been something that's been a struggle, getting both entities on the same page. I believe it increased from 2018 200+%. So how do you fix something like that?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the last estimate is that we have more than 10,000 people experiencing homelessness in our region. And so what that involves is us taking a short-term, intermediate-term, and long-term approach to how we're going to address this. In the last year, we passed at least 2 ordinances telling our unhoused neighbors where they can't be, but that solution doesn't work for any of us. It doesn't work for our unhoused neighbors, or it doesn't work for our housed neighbors, it doesn't work for our business community. Because the question we have failed to answer is, where can they be? Mm-hmm. And when I've asked that question to our elected leaders, very often the answer is, I can't tell you that, Flo. That's actually a direct quote. And so
Wow.
we have to be able to answer that question first and foremost. The city owns properties. We need to roll up our sleeves because housing is a human right, and we cannot, in good conscience, as morally just humans, go about telling people where they can't be without being able to answer the obvious question of where can they be. And so that's step one. And that's one of the first things that I think we need to do as a city. And then, of course, we need to also make sure that the people who are currently housed can stay there, because that's a much easier problem to fix. For every one person we get housed, 3 more become unhoused. And so if we don't address the fact that we need to keep people housed, we'll look up and we will see even more people at our next point in time count because we didn't address the underlying issue of affordability in our region. And then, of course, we need long-term solutions for housing. And that's something that's going to take us more time and more money. But we can have that if we really begin to have a conversation about how we spend our resources and do that efficiently and effectively.
How would a mayor of Sacramento deal specifically with affordability? This is something that is plaguing cities, both large and small, in our 58 counties across the state. Cities are trying to deal with this at the local level and at the state level.
Absolutely. I think we need to start talking about what does affordability look like? Are we actually enforcing the tenant protections that we have in place? Are we making sure that tenants and landlords know their rights so that no one is being evicted without just cause? In Sacramento, we already have some tenant protections. Many would argue that they're not strong enough. I would be one of them. But what I would start with is, how do we enforce what we already have? Because even before we go to do more, we need to make sure that the things we've committed to, we've done well. And I would say when it comes to housing and homelessness, we haven't. And we have an obligation to uphold our existing policies.
So you describe yourself as a transformative candidate on your campaign website. It's a pretty full field so far. Some more candidates are expected to jump in. So how do you differentiate yourself amongst this crowded field so far?
I think that's a great question, and I am a public health professional. I'm an epidemiologist by training. I have served on our boards, committees, and commissions. I've rolled up my sleeves, and I've been a part of this community since I got here. And so I've served on the Measure U Community Advisory Committee as the chair for 4 terms. I've seen behind the curtain around how our budgets work and how our city policies work. I worked on the Mayor's Climate Change Commission. I was actually one of Darrell Steinberg's appointees to that commission. And so I've thought about our climate goals, which is the crisis looming large for all of us. And I've also served on active transportation because I ride my bike around town and I saw some of the challenges that are happening with our disabled neighbors and with people who are walking and who are on bicycles. And so I really want us to be able to look at the challenges that we have in our city and think about them from the perspective of how do we keep everyone safe? Because of all the candidates, I'm the fund public safety candidate because I know that when we wake up in the morning, we all want to be safe and we want to be whole. And so what that looks like is making sure we invest in the things that keep us safe. And I think that's where I differ from some of the other candidates because I understand that those investments are possible and we shouldn't just be responding after something bad happens, after someone's killed at one of our intersections because we failed to put in the right infrastructure, after one of our young people is lost before they have the opportunity to live their entire lives. We should be investing in making sure that they live. And I know that firsthand because I have experienced loss and I have experienced people who were lost to gun violence. And what I know is we lived in a city just 3 years ago where we had no youth homicides. And we did that by funding violence prevention programs. So when I think about public safety, I think about making sure that none of our worst nightmares come true and we actually fund the things that have already worked sometimes in our own city to make sure that we keep our community safe.
Well, especially since we're seeing a rash of gun violence right now. I feel like we were talking about this in the newsroom this week. Every day we come into work, we're talking about more gun violence in the city and how our leaders and our public safety entities work together to curb something like that. I ask every candidate this question when they decide what was the moment that they decided to run for office, because it's a risk. You're putting yourself out there. It's a lot of work. You got to raise money. You got to talk to folks. You got to introduce yourself to folks. So what was that moment for you when you were like, you know what, I want to run for mayor of Sacramento?
There were many moments, honestly, but I think the moment for me was in January of this year when the city council decided to purchase the Rook. I thought to myself, you know, there is an opportunity for us to have a different vision of what our city can look like. And I think when I have conversations in this community with a diverse array of people from all of our different and wonderful backgrounds, what I hear from people is the same common complaints and the same goals. And that's not something that happens across the country. That's really unique to Sacramento, a place where people will complain about a problem while they're actively trying to do something about it. And so I really think we have an opportunity here to be able to be a city that is a leader not just in California, but a leader for the nation, because we actually have already the pieces that can allow us to be able to work together and really solve problems if we have leaders who are on board with our communities. And I think we have not had leadership that actually reflects the values and the goals of our community.
And just to point out, that is the militarized vehicle that the department has. So you have served in different levels of city government, and there have been times where you've clashed with Mayor Steinberg. Is there something, but you also were very gracious when he announced the fact that he was not going to run again and thanked him for his service too. But is there something that, an area where you see you would like to sort of pick up the ball and run with it, where he wasn't able to see success? Because one of the biggest issues when he came into office was homelessness, and we have seen homelessness grow, and the pandemic exacerbated that, you know, exponentially. But is there an area where you see, you know what, this has been a challenge, but I have the solutions for it?
Yes. Well, you know, Mayor Steinberg has very famously always said, I think we agree on more than what we don't. Mm-hmm. And so I think the area that I would really like to make some progress is the promise of Measure U. Because I was there in Meadowview when he announced Measure U and when he painted this picture for what we could do with that second half cent back in 2018. And that was why I got together with other members of our community and really pushed for us to have an oversight committee, and then said, well, if I pushed for it, I should at least put my name in the hat to be able to be on it and to serve. And then I volunteered and ended up serving because of my colleagues for 4 terms as its chair. And I pushed for the vision of spending the entire second half cent on the things that Mayor Steinberg laid out as his vision: addressing housing and homelessness, giving money to our arts community, inclusive economic development. That's what I signed up for the Measure U committee for, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I pushed hard for while I was there. And so if you look back on all the recommendations that my committee gave, unanimously mostly to the city council, it was good advice on how how to use the tools that we had at our disposal and be able to make those things come to fruition. And so I think that's the best thing I can offer to the city is we just brought in $70 million. There was a way for us to be able to invest in our communities. And if we do, we'll actually see some of the impact that we all want to see.
Okay, I'm getting the wrap cue, but I can't end this interview without asking you this question, because if you were elected mayor, you would be the first Black woman to serve in this role, making history. What would that mean to you?
It would mean a lot. I'm actually the first Black woman to run for this position as well. And so I think that, when we think about representation mattering, I come from a tradition of Black women looking out for entire communities. And I think it would really be an honor, because Sacramento is the most diverse city in the country, to be able to really bring in all of the communities that are represented here. It would mean a lot for little Black boys and girls to be able to look and see me as their mayor, but I also think it would mean a lot to the other communities that I'm showing up for, the ways in which I've already, worked to get my website translated into the top 5 languages spoken in Sacramento, the way that I've really, brought in a diverse group of people who are not necessarily part of the communities that I identify with, but they're the communities I'm embedded in. And I think that's what the next mayor of Sacramento needs to be, and that's why I'm running for mayor.
Dr. Flowjon Kofer, Dr. Flo, as she's affectionately known by many. Appreciate your time joining us here during our 6 p.m. newscast. Good luck out on the campaign trail, and I know this is the beginning of many conversations we're going to have leading up to that March primary. Appreciate it.
Thank you.